We crave stories because they give us some sense that life can be structured and resolved, and yet we don't want our resolutions too soon, because as soon as we get them, we're going to need to go elsewhere. We read because of the chance that tomorrow we might choose a book from a shelf, open it, and feel unalone. Feel a connection that transcends the barriers of generations and continents and lets us stare into the soul of someone we've never met and maybe never could meet.
It's kind of a sanctuary. It's a place for a week you are in kind of writer fantasy land. You have to focus on your craft for a solid week. We aim the festival at people who are really close. We're hoping that this very intense week will give them the tools to be able to realize their work and hopefully get published.
At Tin House, one of the things that has been the goal since the outset was to make something non-hierarchical, totally open. Our faculty is willing and available to meet with students, not just in the classroom.
Having nightly cocktail hour and communal meals, there are spontaneous conversations which happen and continue throughout the week. The poets and the fiction writers and the nonfiction writers are all hanging out together and comparing notes and having conversations.
We do morning workshops where some aspect of craft is tackled in depth.
When I'm writing plot, when I'm teaching plot to my students, I think of it in that plot is what I'm going to use to distract the reader while I pick their pockets. And what I'm picking their pockets for is character.
Plot is a process. It has to be a process, and it has to be something that develops naturally in the same way that a fruit develops on the branch of a tree.
Amy Hempel's The Afterlife is a nice example of the kind of emotional indirection in which Amy specializes. Imagine yourself as that narrator. Your chance at happiness has gone out the window because of your father. Your dream mother has gone out the window because of your father.
We are all ultimately unreliable narrators. We are instinctually familiar with this paradigm because we all tell those same two stories, the one about who we want to believe we are and the one about who we know ourselves to be.
I wanted you to see her.
We do the workshops themselves where everyone submits a story and that is reviewed by a class of your peers as well as one faculty member.
I mean, I always want to remember that these are about human beings, right?
We do afternoon seminars, which are lectures and panels.
Epilogue is a manifestation of what goes on, the log of a person's life.
I think the beginning tells you the ending. It's the portent, and it's the sense that we know where we're going.
Great openings are like catching catfish. You got to have a sharp hook and the ability to jerk it forward. The reader, make them uncomfortable.
Song ever written.
Then we do readings in the evening where the faculty read from their work.
That was the last time we listened to our Beatles together. The next day, Grace spiked a fever. Briefly, as she lay in the ICU, the nurses told us to bring in some of her favorite music.
She leans over him, her hair curtaining their faces. She runs the tip of her tongue under his top lip. A sound escapes him.
With Tin House, we publish a lot of people who've never been published before or who have only published a little bit, and every single issue, as soon as it hits the stores, I get calls from agents saying, is this person represented? Is that person represented?
We don't know the dream book before we see it. We only know it when we read it and we feel it in the pit of our stomach. I can't say to you, I want a murder mystery with a woman who's got this. I have no idea. I just know it when I see it.
I see my job as sort of to find writers that I like, to help them get their books in the best possible shape that they can be in, to find them a really great editor at the right house to publish their book, to negotiate their contract to the best terms that I can.
To have a week where 180 writers can come together and engage with one another and go off to their respective cities, I'd say it's a very important thing to have that kind of community.
Through story, we humans make attempts several times a day to connect with one another. Through story, we convince ourselves that our experiences of the world are similar. Maybe if we keep telling each other enough stories, we can finally stop killing one another. Thanks, guys.